As you guys may have seen, stuff in the Pokemon market has been falling, whether or not it's sealed product and especially single cards and graded cards, prices are starting to come down. However, product is still not easily and readily available. It's still very difficult to just go out there and pick up product. It's just next to impossible depending on which set you're trying to find as well. Alright, if you want Shroud of Fable, fantastic, there's a ton of that around. But if you want Prismatic, that's going to be pretty difficult, okay? So right now, the Pokemon market is falling, okay? And it is, I wouldn't say it's like crashing or anything like that, but it is going down, right? We can't deny that. I think anyone that's like, it's not really, going down, it is across the board, right? We've seen Join Together, the brand new set, come out at an extremely high price, and that has now come down. I wouldn't even say to reasonable levels, but it is coming down, of course. Destined Rivals, which is going to be the next set that's going to release, in June? That's obviously very, very expensive right now. I do expect that one to obviously drop as we get closer and closer to release day, and then I think once the set gets released, you will see prices fall. However, that doesn't necessarily reflect on how easy it is to just get a hold of the product in the first place. I've been having real great difficulty getting hold of Join Together to begin with. Now things are getting a little bit easier. Getting it for MSRP is near enough next to impossible, but I have been able to pick up some very, very close to MSRP, like maybe £5 to £10 more for a booster box, which isn't that bad. Now, as for Destined Rivals, look, I know that a lot of stores are really trying their hardest to make things readily available and doing like lottery systems. I've entered quite a few of them where they will pick someone at random or a few people at random that has the chance then to purchase a booster box of Destined Rivals. So there's things being put in place to try and be able to get hold of some, because again, that's going to be pretty difficult to get it, especially MSRP. Now you could be like, well, yeah, it's easy to get Joe Together, it's easy to get Surgeon Sparks, it's easy to get Prismatic, you just buy it off eBay. You buy it off TCG Player. Yeah, but you're paying market price, and for some of these sets, especially the ones that have come out this year particularly, they just shouldn't be that price, and they're not going to hold for much longer. When you start getting these reprints coming in, things are going to fall. And that takes me to today's video and what we're going to be talking about today, and that is the summer. Summertime, usually for Pokemon, is its downward period. We've seen it time and time again, year on year, where things kind of just cool off. Kind of weird cooling off in the summer, but things do cool off. A lot of people are not really investing their time and effort into going out and buying collectibles or anything like that. As you hear in the UK, I've noticed, like, if you go into stores in the summertime, there is a lot of stuff around. There is a lot of stock around, more so than I would say any other time of the year. So be prepared, because Pokemon have already said that they're going to be printing a lot. We have seen reprints and restocks already of certain sets. I mean, we just saw Prismatic mini tins at the Pokemon Center website not too long ago. There's some restocks of that here in the shelves. So there is more coming out, and I would expect Pokemon to, start releasing these pretty soon. Now, they released a statement regarding Prismatic, back in January or whatever it was. So by the time they get things printed, logistically moved around, you're looking probably around the summertime, which is the perfect time to be able to get hold of some of these products. And then they'll probably draw out towards the winter. But keep an eye out for those. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at some sets. We're going to be looking at not just like the sale price of sets, but also some of the cards from these sets. And I'm going to pick some in particular that we're going to talk about today, which I think we should focus on and go from there. Okay, so the first set we're looking at today is Surging Sparks. Of course, Surging Sparks came out in November. It is a very, very expensive set. I've been talking about this set for quite a while. The overall value of the set is pretty high. Booster boxes currently at the moment are sitting around $250. The first thing we're talking about today is Surging Sparks. Now, Surging Sparks came out in November, so it hasn't actually been out that long. And as you can see, booster boxes are sitting pretty high, right? $250. Look, can we go back like 6 months? So yeah, so over 6 months, pretty much how old the set is. It is been climbing quite happily, quite steadily, right? You can see TCG Player is in the orange there, and then blue is on eBay. To give you guys a little example, TCG Player was always above eBay, so keep that in mind when you're looking at the prices of products. But recently, they've kind of matched each other. Surging Sparks here in the UK is around about 180, 190. I think it's pushing closer now to 200. So it is getting pretty expensive, okay? This set is due to have reprints, and I would expect reprints to be coming later on this year. Now, it all depends on what they're going to reprint. They might not reprint booster boxes. They might reprint booster bundles. They might reprint, other like tins and collection boxes that may contain Surging Sparks, but maybe not specifically booster boxes. Now, I think they should, and I think they will, but you got to keep that in mind. If they do, then I do expect prices to fall at least. You know, I don't expect it to go all the way down to MSRP. I mean, it'd be great if it does, but I think it would be a little bit more tougher. I think here in the UK, it will drop to MSRP, mainly because distributors here don't increase their prices. You can still get, like, if you could get, obviously you can't, but if you could get Surging Sparks on the distributor, it's like 85 a box. That hasn't changed. Same with Journey Together, that hasn't changed. And then people want Destined Rivals, that's going to be the same. So it doesn't change there. So I don't really see it going, like, well, it's staying at a really high price when we get stuff here. Over in the US, completely different story. So when we look at the individual cards of the set, we know the value of the set is pretty high, you know, about 1.5k, which is very good. It is a large set, but prices across the board of this set have been falling. Like, they have been going down quite rapidly, to be honest. I remember when this Pikachu, this big old Pikachu was very expensive, and it has fallen, like I say, a lot. So we're looking here. Let's take a look at the raw price first to give this guys an idea. So we go back 6 months. The TCG player is in the orange, so always above the market price. That's about right. I mean, on TCG Player, look at this, right? So on TCG Player, it was $600. But at that same point on the market, it was $430. It's sus, isn't it? And then it falls very rapidly. So yeah, as you can see, look, every month it's been going down and down and down and down. So we're looking at under $350 now with this card, $900 in a PSA 10. Let's take a look at the PSA price. It has fallen like absolutely crazy. I mean, look at that. It was nearly 3k in a 10. Now we're looking at 900. Bear in mind, 900 is still pretty good. But yeah, that has fallen. Whoa. Very, very heavily. And again, we look at some of the other big cards in set. We look at the Latias, pretty much the same story, roughly around $200. Well, I would guess more inflated on TCG Player. Yeah, so again, TCG Player went up to $270 when the market price was $200, and it kept going above the raw price for the longest time. And then when we take a look at the graded version of the Latias, similar story to the Pikachu, fallen like crazy. So those are like the big cards in set, and if you like go through, we're not going to go through all of them, but if you go through each one of these, pretty much across the board, things have fallen in price everywhere. The illustration rares, special illustration rares, the hype is dying down, and it's not like more and more of the set is being opened because like the normal, because it's so goddamn expensive and hard to find. It's a whole different story. So very, very interesting. Poor rates are tough as well. But Surging Sparks value is falling. I expect it to fall even more. I wouldn't be surprised if we do get a reprint, and if it's quite a decent sized reprint, you could be seeing the total value of the set be about 1,000 potentially. Okay, on to Paldean Fates. Now, Paldean Fates is an interesting one because there was a lot of this set around. It was very heavily printed. You could have picked this up reasonably cheap. It was like basically like £4 a pack. It was very, very good. Now, however, it's getting pretty tough. And this set only came out in January 2024. So, I mean, this set's what, slightly over a year old. It's weird that we don't have more of this set yet. I'd be shocked if they don't reprint more. I'd be shocked if they don't reprint more booster bundles. I'd be shocked if they don't reprint more ECBs, potentially more mini tins or normal tins or whatever it is. I'm surprised we haven't had that yet. We might do. Like I say, we've still got a decent amount of time for them to do it. And normally they print the living daylights out of these sets. You look at Shining Fates, the classic one that people like to go to. They heavily printed it. You know, you got the value here, 1.4k, very, very impressive. Pretty much on that same level with Surging Sparks. And you got the big cards, right? The Bubble Mew. Let's take a look and see how well the Bubble Mew's been performing over the past few months. You got over $300 here. Let's take a look at the raw price. So it has gone up over the past 6 months, but it has fallen from its all-time high, which was sat around about $400. It's lost nearly $100 in value. Of course, TCG Player was not too bad, not a huge amount of difference. Stayed pretty consistent, which is good to see. And then the graded price again has gone up to around about 1k and is now nearly approaching under 800. So this card has been falling pretty much across the board. It's interesting to see that happening. Big card though, very tough to pull. Still haven't pulled it though. And then we've got the Big Boy Zard from the set. Let's see how well the Zardy Boy's been doing. So we're looking at about 180 to 200 in a raw price. And I think overall, I think it has been going up. Yeah, it hasn't dropped anywhere near as much. Dropped by about $20, $30. So nowhere near as much as the Bubble Mew has dropped. Graded price from its all-time high was about 600. And now we're looking at about 400. So wow, $200 drop, which is massive. There's a lot to grade in a 10 though, so that's a really interesting one indeed. But like I say, these type of Fate sets do hold a lot of good value because there's a lot of baby shinies, which does pump up the value. Okay, next up we got 151, huge fan favorite set. This one has been aging very nicely. Came out in September 2023, so not quite 2 years old yet. Still, product is getting more and more expensive. Over here in the UK, it's very expensive. We haven't had many reprints or restocks or barely anything 151. We had a very small amount of Blooming Waters. We don't have a lot of the booster bundles that kept getting restocked over in the US. 151 here, incredibly expensive. But the overall value of the set, 1.2k. So things have been going up, but I think now things are starting to slip already from what I can see, which is quite interesting. So let's take a look at the Zardy Boy. Now this one here, you're looking around $200 odd. Card market's like insanely high. So let's take a look at what's been going on there. So here, as you can see, the all-time high was around about $300. And it's kind of leveled out quite nicely, sat around about $220. So that has fallen. Graded price, we actually had some of these come back in 10s recently, which is pretty cool. Oh wow, we've got a PSA 2. That's amazing. So let's take a look. So we had quite a few that's come back 10. So the all-time high was around $1,000, and now we're looking at around about $850. Still relatively high. An absolute ton in a 10. Crazy amount in a 9. So this card's been graded so heavily, and it's holding a good value. So that's actually not too bad. Blastoise. Let's take a look at the Blastoise here. So we've got about $70 raw. Let's take a look at the non-graded price. Been pretty stable between TCG Player and the market, which is obviously pretty good. And let's take a look at the graded price. Graded price is holding relatively well. Well, imagine having that PSA 5. Well, what you've done to get a PSA 5. So I do have one to get graded. We had one come back recently, which did get a 9, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, 350. Dropped a little bit, about 320. So Blastoise actually doing okay. Venusaur, we do have Venusaur between $60 to $100. Let's take a look at what's been going on in the raw price. Again, pretty stable. TCG Player was above the average market, but they've kind of leveled out quite nicely. And then in the graded price, like Blastoise, it's holding very well. Even though there's a load way more in a 10, there is a load as way more, sorry, in a 9, but there is a load in a 10. So overall, I think 151, the raw price of a lot of the cards have slipped away. But a lot of the graded cards, some of the ones that aren't Charizard, have been doing relatively well. I think 151 ultimately is going to do very well. I really don't see any more big reprints of this. It'd be a massive surprise if they do, and I would welcome it, but I just don't see that happening. So I think 151 is going to do pretty well, even through the summer going into the end of the year. So that one's pretty safe. And then we've got Journey Together, of course, the brand new set that has just recently come out. It is a small set. Prices have been falling, the sealed and singles. So this set is now under $1,000. I did a tier list video recently and it was over 1,000. So things are continuing to fall for Journey Together. The pull rates aren't that tough, and because it is a small set, it's a lot easier to complete. Doesn't require as many packs. And prices, like I say, have sealed are falling, so it's getting a little bit cheaper at least to get hold of some product, especially here in the UK. You can find Journey Together product boxes for like $165, so it's not too bad. Lily's Clefairy holding down. I say holding down, it's going down. More like 910. I don't think there's been that many. Obviously, that's so new, but that will fall massively, so keep that in mind. But raw price, we're looking around about $200. Let's actually take a look at the raw price. So nope, it has fallen quite heavily. So yeah, around 200. Was as high around 600 before release. So yeah, huge one, falling like crazy. Articuno, which was the one that the card I really want. I'm probably just going to end up buying this. PSA 10 is only 45. That's madness if that is the case. So we take a look at the raw price of this one. Yeah, I mean, it's just falling like crazy. So that one might be a good one to pick up. I think the cards across the board for Journey are going to fall massively. I don't know whether or not we'll still see it on the same level as potentially Stellar Crown. Now, I actually ranked this quite highly in the tier list because of where it currently stands. We'll see what happens if Pokemon does reprint this or not, and how much do they reprint of this. I think they will, but I want to see what happens to this set when that happens. I think it could go pretty bad for this set if it does get heavily reprinted, because it is a small set. It does have good pull rates. You're going to see a lot of the top cards fall like crazy. I mean, yeah, you got quite a few cards here that are above that $50 range, which is very, very crucial. But I do expect a lot of them to fall when reprints start happening. So keep that one in mind regarding joining together. And then finally, we have Prismatic Evolutions. Evolutions? Yeah, Evolutions. This one is a juggernaut. Will this one be affected? This is such an interesting one. And the reason why this one's interesting is because look at the value of this set. Right, it's 8k in value. We just looked at a lot of these sets. We're like, yeah, 1,000, 1.2, 1.5, around that level. Okay, quite consistent. This one is ridiculous. Okay, there is a lot of product that has been opened already with this set. There was a decent amount of Prismatic around. People have opened up so much of this set. And look at these prices. The pull rates are so bad. We're talking like Evolving Skies level. I think it's actually harder than Evolving Skies. I think someone worked out. But we're looking at really tough level pull rates. That's why you have an Umbreon that's 1.4k or over 1.4k. With Prismatic, like the Seal product, it's kind of interesting. Over in the US, it's going up. Over here in the UK, it's like loose packs are actually going down, but Seal product is going up. So like ETBs are rising. So like they're going towards that 100 range, but the packs are less. Like the packs, you can pick them up for around about 8-ish. So you are seeing a bit of difference there. So if you just want packs to open and not keep sealed, you can get them a little bit cheaper. Still not as cheap as I would like it to be, and I think for most people, but it's mainly just availability. The availability of Prismatic is getting harder and harder. The more and more it's being opened, the less of it around, it is getting tough. Now, Pokemon did say they're going to reprint a lot of this. We will see, and I think that would start to see that in the summertime, but we'll have to wait and see. We take a look at the values of these cards. I mean, if you're trying to go for a master set, fair play. So let's take a look at the Umbreon. So it has been going down, but very, 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 very slowly. So we look at about 1.6k, and we're sitting around about 1.4-ish. So it's dropped a little bit, okay? It has dropped a little bit. Look at the graded price. I mean, it was 5k at one point, and now we're looking still at $3,000 for a PSA 10. Huge. Absolutely huge. That's more than my Moonbreon. My Moonbreon's not even worth that much in a 10, which is mind-blowing. Then when you look at the rest of the set, all the evolutions are holding incredible, insane levels of value. If you take those evolutions out of it, you look at the Roaring Moon, $300. Surreledge, $220. Dragapult, $176. Raging Bolt, $154. We just looked at a whole bunch of sets where that level of pricing is for the biggest cards, and there's like one of them, right? There's like one card that's $150, and then all the rest are like $50 or less. This set has so many cards over $100 and quite far over $100. That is wild. Like I said, this is a tough set to get those big pulls in. When you do get the big pulls, it pays off massively. So I think this one will go down. I do believe that when we do get more in the market, prices will fall. Don't see this falling like just crazy. I really don't, because like I say, the pull rates are just so difficult, and the set is so massive that you're going to see a lot of these cards hold. Which I think this one will power through the summer and will power through reprints. It will fall, but it will not crash. So you could see the total value go from maybe 8k down to maybe 6k, maybe even 5k. But if you compare that to all the rest of the sets we've just looked at, this is on a whole nother level. So there you have it, guys. That's my thoughts on a few of the biggest sets in the Scarlet and Violet era, where I feel like there'll be potentially with reprints coming in the summertime. And I do think a lot of them will hold. I think they could, depending on how much gets printed, how much gets hit in the market, I think we will start to see a slight dip in interest in Pokemon as well. So keep an eye out on that. I did see some interesting comments from a few people over the last few days, actually, where they were saying a lot of people now pivoting their interests away from Pokemon and focus on other things to potentially try, like not invest in, but as in like the scalp, right? Like the scalpers are potentially moving away from Pokemon and looking at what else that they can get their hands on moving into the summer. And a lot of people mentioned about the Switch 2. Of course, the Switch 2 release is going to be, I think it's in June, right? And it's going to be very difficult to get hold of. It is expensive. We saw it happen with the PlayStation 5. Like there was a lot of scalping going on there. It got delayed, I think, for the US for the moment. I think the same in Canada. So you're going to be seeing some weird shenanigans going on. So people are going to pivot and move to whatever the hot thing is. And I think in the summertime it moves away from Pokemon anyway. So around June onwards, we could see a massive dip in interest. And that'll be good for people that just want to crack pack, buy the product, and enjoy the hobby, whichever way you want to do it. And yeah, I'm here for it. And it's about time it happens. But we'll see, and whether or not that'll be true. But if you made this far in the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button. And of course, make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon content. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you think we're going to see a dip in the summer and then it come back later on in the year? Do you think joining together has hurt the hype as it were, for Pokemon? Do you think Distant Rivals is going to bring it back? I think Distant Rivals is going to give it some artificial hype, and then when we do go full into the summer with potential reprints coming in left, right, and center, we could see, like I say, yeah, people might pivot and more stock hits the market, and that'd be very good. But who knows? But yeah, interesting times. So that is it from me, guys, in today's video. If you watch more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on the screen, and of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.